Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video. And this one is sudden. I have not seen this video, and nobody requested it. It just appeared over in my recommendations, and I decided to check it out because it has a kitty. It has a kitten in the thumbnail, and it's an animated short. And it turns out this is Kitbull, a Pixar Sparks short from Disney and Pixar, and the description says Kitbull directed by Rosanna Sullivan and produced by Catherine Hendrickson reveals an unlikely connection that sparks between two creatures, a fiercely independent stray kitten and a pit bull. Together, they experience friendship for the first time. And this is Kitbull. Okay, so that's not the cat's name. But it's animated and it features a kitten, and so I'm really hoping that it has a happy ending because I love cats. So let's go ahead and dive into it because I want to see what happens, and I hope this is going to be really adorable. Start video in 3. So also the link to the original will be below as well, so so you can check it out there. So start the video in 3, 2, 1, click. I want to see this. SparkShorts, Pixar. Nice animation. Look at him. Oh. Oh, cute little kitty. I love the visuals in this. I love the soft visuals. And the music is so good. Oh. 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 My nose tickling, sorry. Oh. She's so tiny. Or he's so tiny, like just the size of a little bottle cap. So tiny. Oh. Oh, this is so sweet. Oh. Ugh. What did you do to him? Oh! Oh no! Oh no! It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. He's not gonna hurt you. I'm sorry, that's really getting me to get up here. This is just so cute, and it features animals and... Oh, 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 oh. Let's get out of here. That guy needs to be beaten with barbed wire. Oh. 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 Come on, it's okay. Oh. Come on, it's okay. Please take them home. Give them a good home, please. Oh. It's okay. Yay, they got home! They got home! I was not expecting that. This was absolutely beautiful. I'm sorry. I did not mean to cry during this. It's just animals are my weak spot. Oh, I'm sorry. I really did not mean to cry during this. I did not expect to go into this crying. It's just animals are my weak spot, and Especially cats and dogs. And it kills me to think that it kills me to think that there are like I cannot stand the idea of stray cats and dogs living out in the rain. And like, I know there are plenty of independent animals out there. It's just, it kills me to think that there are animals out there that don't have a good home. They're living in the cold and the rain and freezing. They're wet, and some are even being abused by dicks like this guy. That don't. This guy, he don't deserve to live. Beats an innocent dog, a helpless dog, and it bothers me that to think that. I mean, and that goes on all the time. And yeah, I myself, I just wish there was more that I could do. But there's a lot that I see in this animation, and there's a lot of relatability, honestly, that you can see in this. And I'm trying to calm myself down. I apologize. This was sad in a few parts, but it had a happy ending. It was really sweet and it was very cute. And I did not expect to cry during this. I did not expect to go into this bawling my eyes out. But I did. I haven't done that in a while with an animation, so I really, really want to say to everybody involved with this, to the writers, to the animators, thank you. Thank you to everybody that made this little adorable, sweet animation. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that made this, because this is just absolutely beautiful. It is so, so well done. And just thank you so much. But I want to go over this and talk about this animation, because I apologize again for crying. It's just, animals are my weakness. Cats and dogs, especially cats, are my weakness. And so, yeah. But going over, I want to touch upon the story of this, and then I want to get into the animation. I'm going to talk about as much as I can about this, everything that I see. The first thing that stood out to me with this particular animation is the visual style itself. It's a very, very soft, very warm aesthetic. It's not animation that jumps out at you and just shouts, look at me. It's very soft, very calm animation. The animation itself, the background visuals themselves, has a very nice soft tone. And they have a nice sort of a they have a sort of a paintbrush, like, they have a sort of a paintbrush, like, a sort of a paintbrush aesthetic to it in terms of the animation. And there's a lot of little moments where you see the shadows and the lighting effects just really help to add emphasis and realism and a natural sense to the scenery. Scenes like here where you can see the sunlight, and again, it makes me think of a painting because of like the tiny little strokes that you see with the light coming from the crack between the fence. and it's very beautiful in how that it's done. And the animation for the cat is sort of similar to that of the background animation. Obviously, it's colored differently because the background visuals are static, they're stationary, they're not supposed to move. Whereas the characters are definitely moving, but every single there's so many scenes in this where the background is just beautifully done, and there's a lot of warm colors, there's a lot of beautiful visuals and soft lighting. It really looks gorgeous. I absolutely love the animation for this. It's just very beautiful. And again, lighting effects is just gorgeously done. They feel natural and very soft at the same time, and I love honestly I love so much the animation that they did for this. It's beautiful, it's simplistic, and it's an interesting thing because the animation, the cat is not overflowing with details. This little kitty is not he is not overflowing with details. It's a very simplistic, very simple design, and it's enough to that it just fits. Like if this cat had more detail, it would not fit in this animation. If the cat had less detail, it would not fit. To me, the amount of detail that the cat and the dog have in this animation fits and resonates within this world, and it feels natural and it feels realistic. They don't have there's not a whole lot. There is not an extreme amount of detail for these animals. There's not a huge amount of detail to them. There's just enough. It looks like it's a very simplified animation style, but it's cute and sweet and warm in how that it's animated. And the animation for the characters fits within this world. The characters, the cat and the dog, they're not overly animated. They're not overly animated, but they're not under animated either. And again, look at this. I mean, you have to look at the visuals alone in this. There's a lot of lovely warm colors, and there's a lot of beautiful visuals in this animation. And like I said, the animation for the dog and the cat, they're not overly done. They're not overly done, and they're adorable. The cat is just adorable. Like she has just these little bitty tiny paws and these big eyes, little round, big, little round, little big ears, and just a little tiny thing. And again, there's just enough detail that you can see what's going on. And this is one of those animations where the characters' facial expressions and body language help to tell the story. There's no dialogue. There's no dialogue whatsoever. There is no dialogue, and it's just using the visuals of the characters' expressions and everything to help get the point across and to help you understand. You rely on the characters, their expressions, and the visuals that they see. You see things basically from their perspective, from each of their perspectives, and it helps you to understand what each character is feeling. And there's a lot in this, and this is so well done. And I mean, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the people that wrote this, the people that animated this, they're dog and cat lovers as well. They know. But like I said, I love the animation for this. It's warm, it's soft, it's colorful. It's not overly bright, but it's not too dark and grim either. And there are sort of areas where you can see a difference in animation that help to relate to the difference in scenery. And I'm going to sort of show that off right here. And for example, earlier in the shot, we see the cat roaming through this little alley. And the cat feels content, happy, mostly. The cat, and you see the bright colors. It's a bright day. And this kind of represents a moment of joy, of happiness. The cat's found a fish. And you also see the moment where the sun is shining as well, and the cat has found a fish, and the cat's happy. The cat retreats to her little box where she rubs against the bear. She's happy. She's got her lunch, she's got a nice warm bed, and a friend. And so she's ready to take a nap. The scene later, whenever it transitions, you could honestly say that the scene with the cat and the dog in this backyard, it's gray. It's gray. And it represents a moment. It kind of represents a dull moment in their life. The cat had called this area home for a while, and now she or he, I'm just going to say it, she, the cat had called this area home for quite a while, possibly, and now she has a neighbor, someone that she's not fond of, at least not right now. And the dog has been chained up. And I think this scene here, the color change, you could say, I mean, just the dim gray scenery here represents a moment in each of the characters' lives. They are at a dim moment in their lives. The dog is chained, the cat has someone that it doesn't trust, and so they both feel restricted, they both feel confined, they feel like they can't be at ease. And I think that this color change in scene is a good representation of the dim moment they each feel in their life at the moment. Now, one could easily chalk it up to it being a cloudy day, and with just little moments here where the sun breaks through the clouds, but I still say the animation represents it. The rain also represents another moment. The rain itself is a representation of the darkest moment of their life. The gray was representation, or could be looked at as a representation of the coming darkness to happen. And here we see that cloudy, dreary day, that rainy day whenever everything falls apart. The dog has been beaten. The cat feels that it can't trust this dog, and so she's scared. Her box falls apart, and her home is completely destroyed, and she's trapped. She's trapped, and there's a feeling that both feel that they're at the lowest point of their life right now. And the rain is a good representation of that, where they feel that they can't trust each other. As the scene transitions, we get a new dawn scene. The sun is shining a little bit, but it's morning. This is representation of a turning point of the characters' lives, a moment of understanding, a moment of willingness to give each other trust, a willingness to try, to trust and to understand. The dark day is now in the past, but they're willing, but now they've decided that they want. The cat decides that she wants to understand, and she feels bad, and she wants to kind of have an understanding. And so they form a little friendship between them, a mutual friendship. And the scene also could represent a sense of freedom. For that moment, whenever they realize that they can escape, they can get away, and they can escape, just the two of them. The scene could be this coming morning dawn could be a representation that the sun is rising on a new day of freedom, and they have the chance to escape. And so here they are. They're free. And they have each other. They have a friend. And it's a very sweet, a very little thing. I think the change in the animation could represent what goes on around it. But again, I love the animation visuals in this, the soft lighting, the soft feel and texture to the characters. The characters are cute and just beautiful in their design. And there's a lot of warm elements to this animation. It's just soft and warm and very soothing and relaxing, and I absolutely love it. But now I want to talk about the story. The story is what really shines for this. And I want to say also the music is gorgeous in this as well. And I love that there's no voice acting for the cat or the dog. I love that. This animation relies on the visual aspect of the characters' facial expressions and their body language for you to understand them. And it does it in a beautiful way. You have this little bitty kitty, unnamed. You have this little bitty kitten, unnamed. And I apologize if this is a he, but, my cat is a she, so I'm just calling this a she. She's just a tiny little thing. She's not had a whole lot of experience. She's just a tiny little thing. She might be considered a full-grown cat, but I'm thinking she's just a little kitten. She's been by herself for a while, and she's kind of used to it. She scrounges for food, and she has a bit of her lay of the land, dodging around people and traffic. And she's got her own little home set up. She's wise enough to that she checks around her to make sure there's nobody following her before she makes her way through the tall grass to lose others and makes her way to her little home that she has set up. She scares away some birds. And so she's very ready to fight. She's a fighter. She's got a fiery little spirit in her. And it's interesting that her home, she's got a box high up so creatures can't get to her. And then there's barbed wire around it, so that's pretty much like a protective barrier. But she's not inept. She's not completely without loneliness. She has this little stuffed elephant in here, this little bear that is her companion. One could even say that maybe it reminds her of her mother. I'm just going to start tearing up again if I keep doing this. And she feels mostly content. She places her food. She feels happy. She begins washing adorably, and then she curls up to take a nap. She's got a nice warm bed. She's got a fuzzy friend in there to keep her warm. And as she's asleep, we see, just like a real cat does, the kneading effect. We see the fish over on the side. She's already eaten. She's full. She's got her little belly full. But her friend here also acts as a sort of barrier, a way for her to hide. It's her protector. And she sees through the box. We see from her perspective, we see these guys set up this dog kennel outside this joint. And she's curious. Naturally, she's a cat. She's curious, but she wants to check it out. She doesn't see anything at first, and then we see the witness of the pit bull. This is honestly the most animated part of the dog and cat. She's scared, of course, and so she sticks her claw out and is like a warning. And they say cats and dogs don't get along. And they can. They honestly can in real life, and this animation is just one of those that show that dogs and cats sometimes they can be friends. And this is also something that shows that you have two people, similar circumstances, both without a real home to call a home, both two lost souls that ended up through a fated meeting encounter each other. And they both have a chance to learn about each other and make and strike a friendship, form a strong friendship. And we see different things. The cat is naturally afraid of the dog because the dog's much larger size. The dog sees the cat and he's curious about the kitty, as the cat is curious too. The cat shows that she's ready to fight, that she's not really afraid, or she's not going to be afraid. The dog is more humble. He's not vicious. He's not a vicious dog. But the cat, she's pretty much like saying, "Stay clear. I will cut you." And it's very cute how the cat just, I mean, they did so well with animating um, what a dog, especially what a cat does in this, with the cat walking sideways and puffing its fur up and arching its back to make itself look bigger. It doesn't really do much for this little kitty because she's such a tiny little ball of fluff. And the dog, you can tell the dog is pretty much saying, "Hey, I'm not going to hurt you. Let's play. We can, let's play." But the cat sees that there's other goings on in the background. And so the cat manages to retreat to its box where it's able to hide to see this guy chain this dog up. So we see that the dog doesn't really have any freedom either. Actually, the dog has less freedom. We see two different perspectives. The dog is feeling mistreated. Like this guy that is supposed to be its human, its owner doesn't seem to care about it. So we see from the dog's perspective, it feels lonely. But we see that it has a glimmer of hope in this little bitty kitty. It has a glimmer of hope in this little bitty kitty. Hey, I have someone. I have a friend. The cat feels uncertain. The cat feels intimidated because we have this big dog. The cat sees the dog asleep and decides to go out, and it accidentally ends up knocking over a bottle. And it ends up deciding to play with the bottle cap. Just like a cat does, and it decides to play with it. And its eyes get big as it's realized, hey, a toy! And we see the cat playing, and it's funny because the cat is trying to stay within the realm, its own little yard. And the cat goes towards the dog, and the cat just freezes up. But the dog sees, I mean, the cat's still afraid naturally because you have someone much bigger than it. And the cat doesn't like the cat is in defensive mode because they don't know. It doesn't know who to trust and who it can't. And that's just like real life. You can't help but get defensive sometimes with some people because you don't know whom you can trust and whom you can't. And the dog rolls the cat back towards the kitty as a sign of saying, hey, here you go, here's your toy. And the dog maybe sees this as a chance to get close to the cat, but the cat still is uncertain, clearly uncertain of the dog. We see two different things here. We see the dog. We see the dog who is chained up. He has no freedom. He's only got so much distance that he can actually walk. And we see the cat who doesn't trust him, who thinks he's a mongrel. He's a vicious mongrel. And so the dog feels that no one is trusting him. The cat, at this point, she begins to see that the dog isn't. She looks at the cat first, and I think that this could be a real moment of realization for her. She realizes that the dog gave her the cat back, and so she rolls it to the dog. She rolls it again, and she rolls it over towards the dog as a test and as a sign of saying, all right, I'm going to trust you. The dog sees and rolls it back. The kitty sees it, and of course it hits her in the little butt. So she kind of freaks out, and then she completely goes into a cute little hysterical kitty cat thing where she falls on her back. And I love the acrobatics of the cat in this because it's very natural to a cat with how nimble and agile that a cat is. But you see the dog come back over, and the cat decides. At first, again, she's still sudden movements frighten her, but the kitty, she decides she's going to kind of trust it. She knocks the cap over to the dog. The dog hits it back over to the cat. And at first, then, whenever the dog barks at the plane, it scares the little kitty. It scares her. Because she hasn't heard the dog bark before. And it's here like she is curious, she's wondering about it, and we see from her eyes the dog tears the head off of this stuffed animal. But I think that this guy, I don't know if he congratulated this dog and petted its head as a reward for destroying this animal. So I'm wondering if maybe if he was trying to groom the dog to be an attack dog, but it wasn't the dog's style. And we see the cat, she sees the head ripped off, and she sees it, and she realizes that this dog is vicious. Her fears were confirmed, and this dog is dangerous, and it frightens her. She feels that she can't trust it, and so she crawls back into a corner, scared little ball, afraid. The rain begins to pour, and we see another scene, a very heartbreaking scene, where the dog is thrown out, and we see he's cut, he's been beaten, he's been whipped, and he's injured. We even see that his paw is injured as he's walking up the steps, like his paw is even injured, and he can't walk with it. And we see the cat, she sees, but I think she also sees the scars on the dog and wonders what just happened. But she's also afraid. And so she retreats back into her little corner with her stuffed animal. And then the rain begins to collapse and fall down, like the rain causes the whole box to crash in, and she ends up trapped. And she ends up trapped. A piece of the barbed wire, her head is caught in one of the soda bottle plastic things, and her head is trapped. And she can't get out of it, and she's caught. And here, she tenses up because she sees the dog approaching. And this is a moment where, I mean, honestly, you can understand both sides. The dog just wants to help. But the cat doesn't know that. The cat doesn't know. The cat thinks that the dog is going to hurt it. It witnessed the dog rip the head off of that stuffed bear. And so it doesn't trust this dog. It's afraid of this dog right now. It's afraid of what this dog is going to do to it. And some people would say that one or both parties were wrong in this. And I don't see it. I see a mutual understanding between both. I see both sides being relatable. Because you put yourself in that situation. If you see someone that you don't know do exactly that, like rip the head off of something, you're going to think that they're unstable. You're going to think that they can't be trusted. That you know, and here you find yourself helpless, defenseless. You find yourself in a situation that you're trapped and they're the only one around, and you see them closing in on you. And you know, the dog and the cat, here they can't communicate. It's just through body actions and body language that they're able to trust. And the dog, you know, it's moving closer, and the cat feels helpless. The cat feels that it's over, and it's going into defensive mode, trying to fight back. And so the cat goes into defensive mode and manages to actually cut the dog's nose. The dog manages to get it off the cat. And here you have two different things. The dog manages to free the cat, but the cat was able to scratch the dog. And you see a moment here of sort of realization for both. The dog feels kind of betrayed. He feels hurt. He just got beaten, injured, and then this little cat that it thought as being innocent just scratched its nose. And so the dog probably feels that it doesn't have a friend in the world right now. And that's a scary thought. The cat felt that its life was in danger. It felt that its life was in danger, and here, as the rain, like I said earlier, the rain coming down is a representation for the darkest moment in their lives. And this is a storm in their lives. And the cat at this point realizes it was scared. And it's probably trying to say here, I'm sorry, I was scared. And it was frightened of the dog. It didn't know what to think. But it probably felt shame as well. And so it retreats. And it hides because it's still afraid and possibly ashamed of what it did. And it sees that the dog got its head off of that. The dog didn't attack. And it sees the dog sulk back into its cage and just stay there. It sees the dog go back into its cage and stay there. And we see a moment where we see a moment of understanding and realization from the cat's perspective. She sees the dog and realizes he didn't hurt her. He didn't do anything. She looks down, she sees either she looks down and she feels regret for what she did. She feels sorry because she acted defensively, but in all honesty, the cat is justified in acting defensively. But she feels regret. She feels shame for what she did. And then she looks up and realizes what has been going on. And I think it's here that she thinks, I gotta make this right. I've got to make things right. And so whenever the day comes, the cat comes out, and with the idea that she's going to make things up. And I think here it's adorable, but I think here is having confusion. She's wondering, how can I make this right? How can I fix this? He was the only other person who actually paid attention to me and actually made me hurt me. She sees the cat and realizes that the dog was playing with it with her and he wasn't attacking her. So she looks over at the cage and thinks, clearly at the cage and thinks, maybe I can get him to play. So deciding to try it, she hits it, knocking it over to him, thinking that maybe she'll get him to play. And, maybe he'll forgive her. It's a sign of, it's an apology. The dog doesn't do anything, and she realizes, she's looking and sees that he's not doing anything. Her ear twitches, possibly a moment of confusion, and she sees just silence. It's here that she feels sadness because she knows that didn't work, and she knows that the dog is still mad at her. And so she walks over. She feels like you can see the emotion in her. She's such a tiny little thing, but she's got a lot of courage in her. For such a tiny little thing, she's got a lot of courage. And I'm starting to tear up again, dang it. Oh, gosh. I hate seeing animals sad, I do. Sorry. She feels sadness. And so she wants to she takes a moment to try to, take a tiny little deep breath and then trudges forward so that she can talk to the dog or communicate with him. And we see that the cat, she's tiny little thing. She's having trouble getting up into the cage, which is adorable. But she pokes her head up as if saying, hey, you home? Can I come in? She sees the dog, and she sees more closely now the scars on his body and sees what he has went through. And I think there's multiple things now going through her head. She sees the scars, and she's afraid now. There's multiple things she's afraid of. She regrets what she did. Even though she was justified in acting defensive, she feels regret for hurting the dog. She now sees the cuts on his body. She knows he didn't have them before. She knows, or she has a sense that something happened. And now she feels bad for that. And she's afraid the dog is not, she's sad and worried and afraid that the dog isn't going to trust her now. That the possibly one friend that she had, she's not going to have now. And again, it goes back to feeling like, like you have nobody. And then just one person offers you friendship. And like whenever you feel low and you feel like you're in a really dark place, and just one person is like, hey, I'm there for you. It's such a beautiful thing. But she is worried how the dog will react, and she's still a bit scared. She's still a bit scared of this big dog, obviously, because it moves and her eyes bulge out. And the dog even growls at her, like saying, go away, leave me alone. And at first the cat, and there's a turning point here, because the cat starts to run, but then she stops. And the music is a really good emphasis here, because the music changes. And it's as if the cat is saying, no, I'm not going to run, not anymore. I'm not running anymore. And then she walks over, and there's still some skittishness about her, but she lays down next to the dog, and it's as if she's saying, what happened? Or saying, I'm sorry. And she sees the scars, and she gets an idea of what to do. She looks down and sees one scar on his paw. She sniffs and steps closer, and she licks it. She licks it as if saying, that's her little apology, saying, I'm sorry. I can help. And she's doing it in the only little adorable way that she can, like she licks it. And it's just so sweet. It's just so cute. And she begins licking a couple of the other scars on the dog. And then she rubs against the dog, like saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I scratched you. Can we go back to being friends? And she even purrs, and the dog is just relaxing, and the cat lays down next to the dog, which is definitely a sign of understanding and of acceptance. Like, I'm accepting you. And the dog's tail gently wags, like a feeling of contentment. The dog looks and sees, and his tail's wagging, and the cat finally feels that she has a friend. And so then they come out, and the dog and the cat, like she's playing, like at this point, there's no fear. The cat harbors no fear for the dog whatsoever. She has accepted him. She understands now that he's not vicious, that he is her friend. And it's such a beautiful and sweet thing. And then they start playing together with no fear. There's no differences between them. Like, it's no cat and dog. It's just friends. There's no differences between them. It's just nothing but friendship. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And my eyes are tearing up again. But we see the doors start to open. And there's a moment, you see the fear in the dog's eye because he's afraid that he's going to get beaten again. And the cat's afraid too because it knows about what the humans did. And here the cat turns back to the dog, and it's like saying, come on, let's get out of here, come on. And that meow, that little bitty meow, is like saying, come on, let's get out of here. Follow me. Like, follow me. And the dog is like, okay. And so the cat leads the dog up to the fence, like saying, come on, let's get out of here. You're free. You can get out of here. And so the dog now wants to escape. The cat sees that the dog is having trouble, but she doesn't want to leave him behind now. Like, she has bonded that friendship enough that she don't want to leave him behind. She sees him in distress, but she's not willing to leave him behind. Instead, she goes back and she tries to help rush and usher him, like try to help him in the adorable little way that she can. Like just encouraging him, saying, "Come on, you can do it." And she's like riding on his back, on his head, as they manage to escape. They manage to escape. They manage to escape. And like I said, this guy, he beat that dog. I can't stand, I loathe with every fiber of my being people that abuse animals just the slightest way. From people that just leave animals abandoned in empty houses to people that set poor, helpless animals out beside the road for them to fend for themselves, to people who beat animals. This guy, he needs to be beaten in the exact same way that dog is. And I believe that anybody in real life that has beaten animals, they deserve the same thing to happen to them. They deserve it. If I ever, in real life, if I ever saw someone beating or hurting a defenseless little animal, they better hope they can run fast. Because I will do the same thing to them that they did to that animal. I won't let them get away with it. I'm against any pricks that do this sort of thing. How would they feel if they were defenseless and down, and they were getting the crap beat out of them just because? People like this, they deserve no mercy. They don't. I wish a lightning bolt had struck him right there. But like I said, I love I don't know if it's a solid reference or not, but we see on the bus 2D, which is like 2D animation. And like I said, we see the sun is shining on a new day. And we see the dog, we see the little kitty. She pounces the dog's tail and begins to bite it adorably because it's her toy. And the dog, it's just so cute because the dog gives her a tiny little soft little bonk on her head, and you see those little feet, those little paws, and it's just such an adorable little friendship between them. It's such an adorable little friendship. The dog's happy. He's finally happy. His cuts are healing. You can see that his cuts are beginning to heal, and they've bonded a friendship. And they're just friends. They're happy little friends, and it's just so sweet. They're just so happy together, and there's a mutual understanding between these two as they're just playing with each other, and they're just having fun, and it's just so adorable. They're just so cute, like they found a friend. They found a friend, and it's just so cute. It's so sweet. And you see the cat. She's out scavenging one day, and someone sets down a can of cat food. And she's curious, so she walks up to it, curious about it, and she's skittish. But you see someone, and this moment here is well for me. Lord knows if I had a place big enough, any stray cat that I saw, I would give it a home. But I don't have a place big enough. But I cannot, to people that are friendly, that take in animals like this, cats, dogs, rabbits, what have you, little animals like this. I know some people might say, well, they've probably been on their own for a while. They can, probably handle themselves. That might be true, but still, I don't like seeing animals like that without a home. I don't. Because in warm weather, like they're in a warm house all the time. They don't have to worry about being out in the freezing snow, in the cold rain. They have access to food and water whenever they want. They don't have to worry about dangers from the outside. And they get love, attention, and affection. And I would just much rather see a little animal like this be in a home, because they don't have to worry and they can live long, healthy lives. But this person is a pure saint in my eyes, because she's giving this little cat attention. And she didn't just set it down and walk away. No, she kept trying. But I think there was a moment of realization here for the cat, because before, the cat would not have given humans the time of day. She would not really have paid much attention to it. But I think here she realized that she has to put forth a little trust. I think she learned that from the dog. I think here she realized that she has to put forth a bit of trust, because she turns back, and I think she thinks about the dog and thinks back to whenever she decided to put trust in the dog, and now she has an awesome friend. And she possibly realizes that if she had never decided to trust the dog, she would not have had that friend. So she decides, after learning from that, she decides to put forth some trust. So she decides to put some faith forward, and she steps closer, and she loves against this woman's hand, and the woman pets her, and she's just so happy, like she's never been petted probably before, and she feels it, and she's happy, and she realizes it feels good. And then here, she just sits down, and here the dog walks over. And the dog is still skittish, because the dog has been beaten as well. So the dog is afraid to get around humans. But here, it's interesting, because you see the woman, she's kind of afraid at first. But the kitty is just looking there smiling. Like, hey pal, what's up? And the woman stands. And here, the cat rubs against, and this is so sweet, because here the cat rubs against the dog. And then looks at the woman like, this is my friend. This is just such a beautiful moment, honestly. Because here, oh, sorry. Here, the cat. Here, sorry. Here, the cat is harboring no shame, no negativity, no mixed feelings. The cat proudly sits between the paws of the dog and says, and looks up at the woman after loving on its paw, like, this is my friend. I'd like to introduce you to my friend. You know, we're together. And so the woman pets the dog, and the dog realizes, I mean, he has some affection. Like, he realizes that she's friendly, as does the cat. And so then we end on this beautiful little scene where the cat and the dog are now playing. We see the cat and the dog are now playing. The dog has a bandana around his neck, and the cat and the dog are playing in a field together. They're playing in a field together. I was going to say just the two of them, which they were playing just the two of them, but then they walk over, and the cat is still riding on the dog's head. So cute, because they have accepted each other as friends. And then they walk over to their owners, and the dog just sits down next, and so now they have a family. The woman and her husband or boyfriend, and now they have a family. They have a family now. The cat and the dog, they found a home. They're not out in the rain, they're not out in the cold. They have a family now. The dog and cat are friends, they have each other, and now they have a loving family that, will take care of them. And I get now, Kitbull, kitten and pit bull, Kitbull, I get it, that's cute. But again, I love this. And I'm going to put the credits up here as well for people. Written and directed by Rosanna Sullivan. So she wrote the story. Okay, to Rosanna, thank you. I can't thank you enough for this animation. I really can't say thank you enough for this. Just the way that you wrote it, the story, the emotion and everything, it's just great, and it's spot on. And I know you'll never watch this, but it was definitely a real tearjerker for me, clearly. But and it was just so beautiful. It was just so sweet. So thank you so much. Produced by Catherine Hendrickson and executive producer Lindsay Collins. Production lead David Lally. And music. The music in this was also fantastic. So to Andrew Jimenez, thank you so much for the music as well. The music was fantastic. And again, to the people that did the art, thank you. The animation, the art style, the visuals, just beautiful in this. It was absolutely gorgeous. The music was was phenomenal as well. The music was great. And again, this was just such a really, really well done story. I absolutely love this. And again, it's one of those animations that prove that this is one of those short animations that prove that you don't have to have any dialogue to tell a story. But this was absolutely phenomenal because again, this was a really great story about friendship. It really was. No dialogue, just body language and facial expressions. And a cat and a dog met in an unlikely circumstance. Two lost souls that had no one. They had no one. The cat didn't really trust anyone. The dog at one point maybe trusted too much. And the cat was kind of a loner at first, but opened its heart. The cat opened itself to friendship and found an unlikely, strong friendship, one that it never imagined that it would have. And it discovered that. And the cat realized, the cat was defensive, but it felt bad for its actions for scratching the dog, and it wanted to make amends. And both characters, the dog had been mistreated, beaten, and the cat didn't have a home. She just didn't have a home, and really wanted to call her own, just a little makeshift shack. And they met through an unlikely circumstance, and they like a fated meeting, and they were able to meet. And at first, the dog wanted to trust the cat because, again, I think that the dog had a bit too much trust in some people. I think in a way, the dog trusted the human who beat him. The dog trusted the cat who ended up scratching him. But again, you can understand it from the cat's perspective. I do not look at the cat like a villain because the cat. I do not look at the cat. I look at the dog or look at the cat like a villain because the cat just acted defensively. The cat acted like really anybody else would. The cat was in a life or death situation where it had to, fight or flight. I mean, it was the life or it was the fight or die situation, and the cat was going to fight. It was going to go down swinging, and it scratched the dog because it thought the dog was going to hurt it. And the cat realized both, and the dog was kind of skeptic about the humans. So I think that both kind of learned something. The dog learned to be a bit cautious around some people and not just openly trust. At least that's my perspective. The dog also wanted a companion. The dog wanted a friend, and it made one. The cat didn't trust anyone at first, but then it trusted the dog. And it learned that it can put forth a bit of trust because the cat then decided to trust a human. And I think that its time with the dog made it realize that it had a chance to trust again. And I'm so glad that it's had a happy ending. And again, to Miss Sullivan for writing this story, thank you so much for making it have a happy ending with the cat and the dog, having a home, having a family. Thank you. I'm an animal lover myself, and I have a cat, and like I especially love cats, and it hurts me to think that there are animals out there being mistreated. In the cold, in the snow, in the rain, in the blazing heat, trying to scavenge for food. Some starving, and it kills me to think about that. And so I wanted this to have a happy ending. I didn't want the cat and the dog to still be, I wanted them to be happy. I didn't want this to have a sad ending or a bittersweet ending, so thank you. I cannot, as an animal lover, thank you so much for making this have a happy ending, because this just warmed my heart so much. Thank you so much. And again, this was so well done. The animation, the visual aesthetics, the warm colors and lighting in this was just beautifully done. The music was so well written, so well composed, and the animation for the characters was adorable, and it was simplistic but adorable and really well done. And the emphasis with the characters' actions, their body language really helped you to understand what the characters were feeling, their eye movements, ears, body. It really helped to really emphasize what the characters were feeling, what kind of emotions that they were feeling, and what they were thinking. And this story, it didn't need vocals. It did not need dialogue. It worked as it was, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And this was a great story about friendship. Two people, two animals that, through that circumstance, they had no one, and then they met and they found a friend. And it wasn't like, oh, we're a dog and cat. No, it was like friends, And it's so sweet how at the ending, the cat she kind of parked herself right between the dog's paws and looked up at the human like, this is my friend. Like, if you're going to have me, you got to take him too. And it was just so sweet. It was so sweet, so warm, so loving, and I loved it. And I apologize again for crying. It's just, anything with animals, it gets to me. So, I apologize if my blubbering, I hope it didn't ruin your thoughts on the video or your viewing of it. But probably a good, like, I don't think this was aired in theaters. If it had been, I would have been bawling my eyes out in the theater. I would have been. But again, I love this. And I said before, this resonates with me because I'm an animal lover. I have a cat. I grew up with a cat. I still have a cat. And I'm a sucker for animals. And So this resonates with me so much, and I'm so glad this had a happy ending. And so, to Miss Sullivan, to everybody involved with this animation, thank you so much, thank you so much for this beautiful animation. This is absolutely adorable. It's sweet. It's so warm. It's so loving. Thank you so much. It's so cute. It's funny too. Like the animation for the cat is also comical because the cat. There are moments where the animation for the cat is exaggerative. But then again, it's honestly natural for a cat because the cat is just so quick. My cat, she's just a ball of fire. She's zips back and forth through the house, and she literally bounces and does somersaults off the wall. That's her. And I saw a lot of my cat in this little bitty black kitty here. I saw a lot of my cat in that, so um, I'm probably going to go hug my cat after I stop recording this video. I'm probably going to go hug my cat. Um, but again, thank you. Thank you to Miss Sullivan. Thank you to everybody that worked on this. Thank you all so much. I will absolutely love this. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much. Like I said, I love this because it's really true. You know, whenever you just have that one friend, that one really close friend in your life, you feel like you can do anything. And the idea of not having anyone, it's scary. I honestly don't know of anything more scary than feeling alone. But the cat and the dog made a friend. Someone that they could trust, someone that they cared for, someone that they could have fun with. There was no differences between them. It was just fun. They were just together. They understood each other. They saw through the battered shell that each other had, and they saw what was underneath. And they were there for each other. They helped each other. And this is such a beautiful story about friendship, told in such a sweet, loving way. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love this animation to death. This is so cute. This is so sweet. This is definitely one of my most favorite, just like animations. This honestly is. So, again, thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody that worked on this. Thank you all so much. I absolutely love this. Thank you. And thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments as well. And to fellow cat and dog lovers out there, rock on. And like I said, now I'm going to go hug. Now I'm going to go hug my cat. I'm going to go hug Muffin here. So thank you again, and hope you guys enjoyed. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.